Bring it in the morning. Ring that bell.
I am very excited to be a voter in my future, and that's why I'm here to protect Americans' voting rights. I'm currently 14 years old, and given my 18th birthday and the date of that, it's 1,557 days until I'm able to vote, and I'm very, very excited for that opportunity. This is the sign I brought because I want everyone, especially the government, to know that what they do for my future matters, because someday I'll be electing them.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve. I'm going to call you by your names, and then you're going to say, good morning, Steve. Good morning, you back-talking bunch of troublemakers. So, 58 years ago, a bunch of troublemakers just like you marched on Washington, D.C., and it resulted in voting and civil rights. Well, apparently, the forces of oppression are taking another stab at liberty, so we're back. You're going to say we're back. What are we? We're back. What are we? We're back. We're not taking this. What are we? We're back. We are back.
Should have never left.
Should have never left. On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. spoke at the March for Jobs and Freedom and gave the I Have a Dream speech. Today we follow in those steps of Martin Luther King and fight against voter suppression aimed at black and brown people and young people, and for the passage of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And the For the People Act. If it takes to the end of the filibuster to pass them, then we end the filibuster. Let folks know they can find, by the way, you can find calls to action regarding the Freedom of the People Act on our tables. And I've said everything I'd say. And we're going to call up our first speaker right now. Wait, or have I skipped it? Yeah. Yes. We're calling up our first speaker right now, Amy Fraden. Here we go. Give it up for Amy.
Welcome, everybody. So I want to read something from Timothy Snyder, who wrote a book called On Tyranny, and a very short thing from Coretta Scott King to send you out in today. Power wants your body softening in your chair and your emotions dissipating on the screen. Get outside. Put your body in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar people. Make new friends and march with them. Protest can be organized through social media, but nothing is real that does not end up on the streets. If tyrants feel no consequences for their actions in the three-dimensional world, nothing will change. Make new friends and march with them. Struggle is a never-ending process. freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation. Make new friends and march with them. So I'm totally thrilled to introduce our wonderful Democratic Board of Elections Commissioner, Ashley Dittis.
Hello, thank you for having me here. This November, when voters get their ballot, we're encouraging them to flip it over. On the back side, there are propositions. There will be two very important referendums that can drastically help promote democracy and help people vote in New York State. The first allows same-day voter registration. Yes, you can clap for that. This will allow more people who are truly qualified to vote access to do so by eliminating the current 10-day deadline. The second would authorize no-excuse absentee ballots. What that means right now, currently, people have to give a reason for voting by mail. This will eliminate voters having to give that reason. We see in states where vote by mail is sanctioned, more turnout, better results, more people vote, the more true results we get. This will allow people to do that, and states that do that, we've seen higher turnout despite misinformation to the contrary. It is a safe way for people to vote. So what are we going to do this year? We're going to turn over our ballots, and we're going to help modernize our elections in New York State.
I need to interrupt this rally with a protest.
All right.
Here we go, a couple of chanty chants. You guys ready?
Yeah.
You back talking troublemakers ready?
Yeah.
We ain't never turning back. Pass the For the People Act. We are never turning back.
Pass the For the People Act.
We ain't never turning back.
Pass the For the People Act.
We ain't never turning back.
Pass the For the People Act.
Voting's a right, that's a fact. Pass the John Lewis Act. Voting's a right, that's a fact.
Pass the John Lewis Act.
Voting's a right, that's a fact.
Pass the John Lewis Act.
Voting's a right, that's a fact.
Pass the John Lewis Act.
Get voting through the Senate cluster and that stupid filibuster. Get voting through the Senate cluster.
And that stupid filibuster.
Get voting through the Senate cluster and that
Stupid filibuster.
Okay, you guys got to do better. You really got to put an emphasis on the word stupid. So let's try again. Get voting through the Senate cluster and
that stupid filibuster.
there you go. Get voting through the Senate cluster.
And that stupid filibuster. Stupid filibuster.
And now I'd like to introduce all of our next speakers. Gemma Kalinda, Amy White, Lynn Sakai, Evelyn Clark, Adriana Magana, Eric Mancha, and Gaston Rabima. Give it up!
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to make a small correction. It's Gemma Kalinda. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, this Negro is still not free. I said this Negro is still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the menaces of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so, we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition.
People want, just so you know, that this is Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech from exactly on this date many years ago. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of the Republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. And so we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children.
It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning, and those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. And there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there's something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny, and they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom.
Thank you, thank you. Good, good. We cannot walk alone, and as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating "for whites only." We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, no, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. And some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom, left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair, I say to you today, my friends. And so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out to the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at a table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious races, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed and all the flesh shall see it together.
This is our hope, and this is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring." If America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so, let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi and every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last."
Questions for you. The answer to every question is yeah. Give that a try when I point to you. Yeah. Let's try again. Yeah. You mad? Yeah. You got concerns? Yeah. You angry? Yeah. You ready to march? Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you why you're angry, why you got concerns. A speech written 58 years ago could have been written yesterday. Could have been written yesterday. And I also brought here a request from Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy. They had a question for you back-talking troublemakers. And the answer is never. When you people going back? Never. When are you going to stop this? Never. When you going to give it up? Never. You ain't getting no vote. When you going to go home? Never. He said, when are you going home? Never. You got to get out my face. When are you doing it? Never. When you're going home? Never. I interrupt this rally with a couple of protest chants. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. You come to the fight. You come to the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight, so take note. Get your hands off my vote. This is the fight, so take note. Get your hands off my vote. This is the fight, so take note. Get your hands off my vote. This is the fight. This is the note. Get your hands off my vote. You're stealing votes bit by bit. We ain't putting up with this. Okay, here we go. You're stealing votes bit by bit. We ain't putting up with this. You're stealing votes bit by bit. We ain't putting up with this. We'll protest here both day and night till we get our voting rights. We'll protest here day and night
Until we get our voting rights.
We'll protest here day and night
Until we get our voting rights.
We'll protest here both day and night
Until we get our voting rights.
And I want to conclude with a reiteration, because Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy are very concerned about you today. Not only you, Atlanta, D.C., L.A., Kingston. Here we go. Now the answer is no. Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell want to know when y'all are going home.
Never.
They want to know when y'all are going to stop this.
Never.
We already took your vote. You ain't getting no vote when you're going home.
Never.
We said stop standing up for people you don't even know. When are you going home?
Never.
When are you going to stand back?
Never.
When are you going to back away?
Never.
When are you going to stand back?
Never.
When they say get back, we say fight back. They say get back, we say
Fight back.
They say get back, we say
Fight back.
They say get back, we say
Fight back.
They say get back, we say
Fight back.
get back.
Fight back.
Go back.
Fight back.
Stand back.
Fight back.
Go back.
Fight back.
Get back.
Fight back.
They say go away, we say no way. They say go away, we say
No way.
They say go away, we say
No way.
They say go away, we say
No way.
They say go away, we say
No way.
Go away.
No way.
Get away.
No way.
Stand away.
No way.
Back away.
No way.
Go away.
No way.
When they say shut up, we say rise up. They say shut up, we say
Rise up.
They say shut up, we say
Rise up.
They say shut up, we say
Rise up.
They say shut up, we say
Rise up.
shut up.
Rise up.
Shut it up.
Rise up.
Shut up.
Rise up.
Shut it up.
Rise up.
Shut it up. We've now concluded the standing part of our program, and we're going to begin our march. But I want to remind all the marchers to look for the marshals wearing the bright, the laves and the bright vest. We have any to come? Yes, we're in the vest to keep us right on our route. And we're gonna be starting going.
No. Over there. There.
Okay.
Maiden and Clinton, where Amy is. Maiden and Clinton.
Okay.
Right over there.
Right. So we're gonna start lining up, and we're gonna begin our march.
Backwards.
Alrighty. Come on, everybody! Try to stay on the sidewalk tonight. Okay, really tight. Try to stay on the sidewalk. Relax. We promise to stay on the sidewalk.
Sure. Considering your age, if you've been vaccinated, you shouldn't be terribly concerned.
Remember those are old. Try to keep to the sidewalk as you go along. Thank you. Try to keep to the sidewalk as you walk.
Okay.
Oh, you're in a good spot.
I used to.
Try to stay on the sidewalk as you're walking along.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Until now. You know, she didn't really know about this. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I love these signs. They're great.
Overcome
Try to stay on the sidewalk as you go along.
You can't take the streets? No streets?
No streets. That's what these guys are here for, to make sure we don't go on the street.
Yeah. 37.
Good crowd.
They tried to pass.
Right.
Took away.
Try to stay on the sidewalk as you go.
What'd you say?
Onward.
I live in.
Try to stay on the sidewalk as you walk. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. You bet. Try to stay out of the street as you're walking.
Oh, what's that?
Out of the don't walk on the street if you can help it.
He's smart, but it wouldn't be a good fit. And he's not as good.
Oh, like a dog. That's great. Try to stay on the sidewalk.
Okay, we'll do.
We know that.
We don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it. We'll protest day and night till we get our voting rights.
We'll protest day and night till we get our voting rights.
We'll protest day and night.
Voting rights.
So take note. Voting the right, that's a fact. That's the John Lewis Act. Voting the right, that's a fact.
That's the John Lewis Act.
Voting the right, that's a fact.
That's the John Lewis Act.
Voting the right, that's a fact.
That's the John Lewis Act.
Voting the right, that's a fact.
That's the John Lewis Act.
Voting the right, that's a fact.
That's the John Lewis Act.
The basis of democracy. We ain't never turning back. That's the John Lewis Act. We ain't never turning back.
That's the John Lewis Act.
We ain't never turning back.
That's the John Lewis Act.
We ain't never turning back.
That's the John Lewis Act.
We ain't never turning back.
That's the John Lewis Act.
We ain't never turning back.
That's the John Lewis Act.
We ain't never going back.
That's the John Lewis Act.
Lewis Act. We ain't never going back.
Pass the John Lewis Act.
Pass the John Lewis Act.
That's the John Lewis Act. That's the John Lewis Act.
When I was younger, to the point of losing my voice.
That's the John Lewis Act. That's the John Lewis Act.
They say go away, we say
No way.
They say go away, we say
No way.
Go away.
No way.
Get away.
No way.
Get away.
No way. No way. No way.
Get voting through the Senate cluster. Get voting through the Senate cluster.
Stupid filibuster.
This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. This is the fight. This here's the struggle. This is the fight. This is the struggle.
Time to get in good trouble.
This is the fight. This is the struggle.
Time to get in good trouble.
This is the fight. This is the struggle.
Time to get in good trouble.
This is the fight, so take note. Get your hands off my vote. This is the fight, so take note.
Get your hands off my vote.
This is the fight, so take note.
Get your hands off my vote.
This is the fight, so take note.
Get your hands off my vote.
This is the fight, so take note.
Get your hands off my vote.
This is the fight. This is so take note.
Get your hands off my vote.
You're stealing my vote bit by bit. We ain't putting up with this. You're stealing votes bit by bit.
We ain't putting up with this.
You're stealing votes bit by Another new one. I hate to end this rally with a protest, but I still have that same unanswered question. You guys are holding back. That same unanswered question from Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy. When you people going home? Never. When you gonna stop this? Never. You ain't getting no voting rights. When you gonna stop? Never. When you gonna shut up? Never. When you gonna stand down? Never. You're standing there fighting for, you live in New York, you got the right to vote. You're standing here protesting for people you don't even know. When you gonna quit that? Never. When you gonna go home? Never. When you gonna do what you gotta do at home? Never. We're all busy people. When you gonna get out of here? Never. Well, actually, our rally is just about over, so you're gonna get out of here in a couple of minutes, so.
If anybody would like to be on our indivisible mailing list for actions and other events, help us get involved. Like we said in the beginning, this doesn't work unless we do it together, and we do it in person, and we do a lot of it, and we will make a difference. Your vote will matter, and this is going to affect everybody. So call your senators, call Schumer, he still needs that support. Let him know you want S1 and HR1 through the Senate, anything it takes. We got to do this together. Thank you. Thank